This is not a love story.
No, this is not a love song. This is not a love song.
Not a love song.
This is not a love song. Halfway through the 90s, we went to Paris, the Cité des Arts Internationales.
International.
I turned 40 in Paris.
That was a nice place to turn 40.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Did you go to the Eiffel Tower?
No.
It's a bit scary up top.
I didn't have any desire to do touristy things. When I went to Paris, I decided I was just there to work.
What sort of work were you doing?
Paintings.
What were they?
They were interiors. I had that show at Realities in the Shadow of Notre Dame. The collages. I think I did about 7 2 by 3 metre approximately canvases. I pinned them up on the wall and did interiors with newspapers and magazines and work on imperial size paper.
Quite large. 2 by 3 metres.
Yeah, they're big.
Yeah.
They're big. The biggest interiors I've done to date.
What sort of problems did you come across when you were doing those compared to smaller things?
Then it was just it still is, it's just you do a bigger one or you do a small one.
Some people tend to take shortcuts when they do big ones.
I don't, because I like the details to be intense. As intense on a big one as they are in small work.
Why did you do interiors? Do you remember?
I don't know why I do them. It's just a situation to paint because it allows a certain freedom because they're pictures within pictures. So when there's a picture within a picture, it can be anything, and the angles of the walls or the angle of a picture in a picture creates a weird dimension.
It seems to be designed for walking.
Yeah, you can walk around. There are inner arrondissements. You get to know it a little bit more because we used to saute off into the marais, and we got to know people in the little horseshoe cafe. The man Xavier, and he said to me, "Victor, why do you try to talk baby French when I can talk perfect English?"
Was his English perfect?
Was so much better than my French. The way I get around when I'm in France is I speak English with a French accent, so at least I get that part right. I think place can't help but affect your work, but it's a subtle thing because you're there and you notice it. But some of the first big interior I did, which was sort of had an ochre white and black palette, was sort of quite, I mean, that's what the buildings were. There was a little sense of the sand. I think it's sandstone. I don't know what stone it was. But and then you look across the river and there's, to Ile Saint-Louis and Notre Dame. There's a sense of history and place, which is what I wanted to imbue in my work. I didn't want to pretend I was anywhere else. I mean, it's like being in Melbourne. You're in Melbourne, and so there's a certain aspect of Melbourne that you can't avoid. I think it gets into you wherever it is, and then also it depends on how old you are as well. I think your age tends to give some indication of, it's a subconscious thing. You don't know you're doing it, but you it's an experience. I mean, the more experience you accumulate in a way, artistically, the harder it is. You can't replicate, and you've got to maintain a sense of presence.
Well, some artists in the past, some of the older artists who have passed away now, did replicate, did go back to their work, like Albert Tucker, Sidney Nolan.
Well, with the examples that you've mentioned, Nolan went back and he did more Ned Kelly's riding around the place, and Tucker never quite regained the intensity of the work that he did in the 30s and 40s.
So you think it may have been more merely a financial consideration than an actual aesthetics?
Maybe they had reached a creative cul-de-sac, which is a sort of fear thing. You've got to be able to work into your age and define how you're perceiving the world honestly to that point in time. And that point in time is going to be different because the age or the period in which you're producing the work has moved as well. So, I mean, I'd find it strange trying to paint paintings about that came out of a Second World War period. In today's world, you have to sort of take on or be susceptible to the zeitgeist, the mood of the times, spirit of the moment.
Would you have liked to have stayed in London?
Part of me maybe would have. I thought I'd go back to London. I left stuff in London which I had to give away because I was in Elsbeth's attic, so I said I'll give it away. Stretchers and things like that. A guitar I got in London, and I just said, I'll give them away to some kid, and she knew an artist who could use the stretchers, so gave them away. I did intend to go back, but after sort of, I was sustaining a place in Petersham in Sydney and had somebody in there leased it out for 2 years and wasted money like that because I was paying rent in Sydney. But we got sort of away with a cheap rent in London, which was ironic, in a really good locality. And then came back to Australia, but did a trip around Australia and then went and lived up in the Kimberley as a result. And then from the Kimberley, Catherine at the time said we should go to Melbourne and salvage my career.
Salvage your career?
Yeah, that's what it was, because reality had gone into receivership.
This was in 93?
Yeah, and still trying to salvage it.
How do you salvage a career, and how do you know you've got it all?
They were her words, not mine, but they sort of resonated up to a point. I think I don't know.
The scene's changed so dramatically, though. From then on, it changed.
Yeah, well, it changed when I was away, and Haney Armanius, for instance, used to frequent my studio. He'd come over and I'd visit his in Newtown, and but when I came back, he had sort of established himself as the Mr. Big of the art world, and another generation had come to the fore, and I remained a respected identity.
They keep coming forward. They have a new line
every 5 or 10 years
Yes.
there's a new line or a new wave that is given the accolades of the cutting edge.